So y'all boy, President Trump, he's a wild boy. He's trying to kill two birds with one stone. And some people will call this justifiable, as if he's upholding every promise that he made to his base and those people that voted for him.
That's a damn shame.
So it's peculiar to me the way that they're going about this, because some people say, well, his election was stolen and this is why he's doing this. His election was robbed from him, and that's why the January 6th protests, riots, and insurrection occurred. I believe it was all three of them, just because of the acts of the different groups of people that were there. Again, not everyone was innocent. But nevertheless, when I think about this new tactic, it's killing two birds with one stone. Some people on the surface are going to look, well, this what needs to be done to uphold the Constitution. And other people will be thinking, well, why now? Why not like on day one of last year after the inauguration of what he could have done? Why not then? Because it was such a big deal that the election was stole from you and that you should become president during Joe Biden's term. Why now? A lot of things are occurring very rapidly in the federal government because of the midterms. That is why. Let me ask you guys something, and hopefully, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know the answers to this already, but this is something that we really, really need to talk about.
Huh? What?
Let me ask you guys a question, because it's something that we really, really need to discuss here.
Okay.
What if I told you that the United States Postal Service, the same institution that delivered your grandmother's pension check, the same institution that Benjamin Franklin helped create, is now being turned into a voter suppression weapon by President Trump and his administration?
What?
Not by some rogue postmaster, right? By an executive order by the sitting president of these United States of America, signed and sealed. And this is why I led off with the dialogue that I gave you, because not that I'm trying to shape your mind or have you to go one way or another. I just want you to be in a certain thinking space. Because as of today, and this video being posted a couple of days prior, so during that time, just stay with me. Let me tell you guys what's being implemented. First and foremost, welcome to Blacklogic. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for supporting me. Today, we're going to go by this executive order page by page, line by line through executive order. Now, we're not going to read the entire thing, but we are going to point out executive order 14339. This executive order gives the U.S. Postal Service the power to decide whether your mail-in ballot gets delivered, not whether it's counted or not, right? Whether it gets delivered. This is a difference. We either get delivered or it's counted. And the difference is the whole game that they're trying to play with people here. All the American people, because here's what happened. On March 31st of this year, President Trump signed an executive order directing the United States Postal Service to create a new system where states are required to send voter level data to USPS before mail-in ballots can be processed. He's literally acting as if that the U.S. Postal Service, they need to create a branch or section within the U.S. Postal Service. So, and I'm pretty sure they have investigators of mail fraud and theft of mail. But this is more like an oversight committee. Maybe they have something already in place. I don't think they do, but I could be wrong.
I don't like that.
But we're talking about names. We're talking about addresses, unique barcodes tied to each voter outbound and return ballots envelopes. So basically what I'm saying here, guys, is if your name isn't on this list, your ballot doesn't go out. So they have this fictitious list that they're going to create. They're going to verify your name, your address, and some other things. But here's the thing. Is this going to be electronic? Is it something they're going to mail to you? How they're going to verify you? And if your name is on the list, your ballot doesn't go out. They're trying to really kill mail-in voter ballots because they know the statistics on it, which we're going to cover. And this is the ploy for the Republican Party, right? The concentrate MAGA group to stay in power through these midterms. They're trying everything.
I'm so sick of these people.
So if your name ain't on this magical, ballot that they create, then it doesn't go out. And if it somehow does go out, it may not come back.
Houston, we have a problem.
The federal government is now building a system where a federal agency, not your local state, okay, not your local election board, not your Secretary of State, a federal agency answerable to the president gets to screen who receives a ballot by mail. Did you guys see that story? This was a one-off. Did you guys see that story that a federal judge ordered for President Trump's name to be removed from the Kennedy Center? I'm a Washingtonian. I'm from Washington, D.C., born and raised. Never in a million years would President Trump's name on another president's building that was, oh my God, dedicated to President Kennedy. President Trump put his name on there. A federal judge had to have him to remove it. I just had to give you that because I'm just showing you the obnoxiousness of this administration and some of the things that they're doing, right? And on the surface, for people who hang on the coattails, for people who are all for President Trump, which that's your choice, okay? There's been a lot of people on both sides that their president can't do no wrong. Someone's searching for your business right now. This is what they find. Slow dated or just not there. So they leave for someone else. Lova builds you a real website and the app to match in days, not months. So when they find you, they stay, they book. Built right, kept running. See yours free in 48 hours. Minute before you pay a thing. Lova.dev. But let me tell you, all these administrations deal in 2 and 3 levels. They know that the majority of the American populace don't have the time to dive deep, that everything that you're going to see is surface level. So on the surface, I'm with you, right? So if I read this order, let me give you an example here. If I read this order as a red-blooded American,
oh, okay,
that fought for this country, that served this country honorably for 20 years, I read this and I say section 1. Now, first, here's the name. Ensuring citizenship, verification, integrity in federal elections. Okay. The right to vote in federal elections is reserved exclusively for citizens of the United States under the Constitution and federal law. Federal statute explicitly prohibit non-citizens from registering to vote or voting in federal elections and impose criminal penalties for violation. We can clap for that all the way. The right to vote should be for those citizens in that country, in this case, in our country. If you're not a citizen, you should not have the right, you should not have the power, you should not have the privilege to vote in our elections. This has nothing to do with immigration. We can definitely cover that another time. But you should not have the right nor the privilege or the option if you're not a citizen of this country. So again, level 1, most people are going to read this and move on. They're going to like, yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with it. This is actually great. This is good for America. And I would agree. But it makes this federal agency answerable to President Trump. It gets to screen who receives a ballot by mail. And that proposed rule is being published in the Federal Register. It is now officially on the books for public comment, no less. And right now, as I speak, a federal judge in Boston is hearing oral arguments from Democratic state attorney generals and voting rights organizations trying to block this order before it touches the 2026 midterms. Can we pass it after the midterms? You see? Level 2. You see how we're just going levels here, guys. That way we can all understand what the hell's going on. And I'm not a liberal. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican or conservative for those who are new to my channel. Now, let me tell you what the other side of the courtroom looks like, because on May 28th of this year, a couple of days ago, rather, a federal judge in Washington, D.C., my hometown, already declined to block this order. Judge denied the injunction, said that the plaintiffs hadn't demonstrated irreparable harm yet. Wait a minute. So why in statistics, why in process improvement, there is a predictive analysis?
I see.
So when you take certain classes, it helps you to understand the economy. It helps you understand social economics. It helps you understand quite a bit if you know how to make those tools applicable to what you're reading. This is a federal judge said that this particular legislation hadn't demonstrated irreparable harm yet. And I'm looking at the judge. You don't understand that this really isn't about non-citizens voting, but at the same time, it's about non-citizens voting This is being dropped right now, right here, because the Democrats have gained a lot of steam and they're winning a lot of these small markets in some of these Republican states, in their own states. And the administration can see how these Democrats may win, how they may now take back the Senate. This is about power and what he can do with a pen. Because I want you to sit with that for a second. A federal judge looked at an executive order that creates a national voter surveillance database and said, I don't see the harm yet. You don't see the harm. So maybe someone like myself can show this judge the harm. And a lot of you are like, oh, this is your rhetoric. This is your perspective. This is your opinion. I'll let you decide. Let me get through this, because according to data from 2024 election, 18% of Black voters cast their ballots by mail. 18% of Black people. 1/3 of Hispanic voters cast their ballots by mail. Half of Asian American voters cast their vote by mail. These are not fringe groups. These are communities that mail-in voting was designed to reach people who work 2 jobs, people who can't take 4 hours off to stand in a line that conveniently snakes around the block only in certain zip codes. It was for elderly voters, disabled voters, single mothers and single fathers. And now the federal government wants to put a checkpoint between them and their ballot. You know who it also hurts? White people. Now, I know you heard me say Black, Hispanic, and Asian. It hurts white people as well. But again, if someone voted for President Trump and they still believe they made the right choice, they're not going to understand where we're getting to right here. I want you to look at the amount of people that actually mailed in their votes. Now, some of you will say, well, they should get out there and vote. They should take a day off. It's the most important thing. So it shouldn't be a mail. That is an option because the USPS is a federal agency, and voting in the midterms, voting in the federal election, right, should be governed and have an option if people are elderly and can't make it outside the house to vote, that they're disabled, or they literally can't take off from work. If they do, they get fired. First, you eliminate, like this is another form of voter suppression, where you dictate where they can have poll rallies at, or where they can go in to vote, where they carry their polls at. You decrease the amount of number where people can vote. And now this, we're still on level 2. Because here's where it gets surgical, in my opinion. The database the executive order relies on, the DHS citizenship records, it relies on the DHS citizenship records, Social Security data. These are not designed to verify voter eligibility. Courts and government auditors have said this repeatedly. These databases are riddled with errors, mistakes, erroneous entries, no less. Maiden names that don't match, so that person won't get the vote. Hyphenated names flagged as duplicates. Naturalized citizens listed as non-citizens because the paperwork hasn't caught up. And now these broken databases are going to be the gatekeeper between you and your vote. You see, there's all these little loopholes I don't think people was thinking of. There's all these little gaps in the process that people not really thinking about. Maiden names, hyphen names, naturalized citizens being reclassified in the system, or a miscalculation or something. This is all what they call, if you guys psycho at all, marginal gains. See, these are marginal ways, these little tick-tacky small steps in order to decrease the amount of people that are voting. That's why they have all these things going on at the same time, ladies and gentlemen. We're still at level 2. And as I stated before, these databases are going to be the gatekeeper between you and your vote. The ACLU has already filed suit calling this a national voter surveil and purge.
Okay.
A surveil and purge database. That was their words. See, not mine. If you go over to the ACLU and you read this article, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I believe the Black Voters Matter group, okay, not Black Lives Matter, but Black Voters Matter group, they filed a separate lawsuit saying that this order attempts to seize control of who can vote in federal elections and weaponize the U.S. Postal Service against mail-in voters, as well as threaten local election officials with criminal prosecution. Criminal prostitution.
What?
Criminal prosecution. Yeah, you heard what I said the second time. I know you did. Because this doesn't exit in a vacuum, ladies and gentlemen. You've got the Supreme Court gutting Black voting districts in Louisiana and Colliers. You got the state legislature in Georgia and Texas and Florida passing new voter ID restrictions. You've got roughly 300,000 federal jobs eliminated, and the very jobs that anchor Black middle class wealth. And now you got the Postal Service being repurposed as an election enforcement arm of the executive branch. I know, boo-hoo. See, here's the thing. I try to read majority of my comments that you guys make, and if there requires a response, I tend to give it. But every now and again, I get a couple of hateful people who really can't think more than one level, and we're still on level 2. So they are already lost. This is not about performing outrage, as I always say. This is about a diagnosis of power and the tricks and the manipulation that whether be the left or the right try to trick the American people, especially Black Americans. You got to love your people before you love anything else. And I love my people. I love everybody. I'm not a hater of no one race or anything like that, but I love my people first. This is not a coincidence. This is architecture. Why do I keep saying it's architecture? Why do I keep saying architecture? Framework. You guys understand framework and architecture? It's the way that it's being built. It's the way that it's being designed and sketched. See, you redraw the map so Black districts disappear. You purge the voter roll so Black names get flagged. You cut the jobs so Black families are too busy surviving to organize. And then you block the ballot so even the ones who fight through all of that can still, or rather can't, cast a vote from their kitchen table. I want to be part of the American dream. I want to be a part of the American freedoms in mailing my vote. But now I have all these other issues that was created by administration to handle. And here's the part that makes my blood boil you for a little bit. For the first time in American history, the Department of Justice has demanded confidential voting information from all 50 states and Washington, D.C. And it's compelling to me that the information, they want to put all of that into a single system, one database, 50 states, every voter. Are they going to have ChatGPT monitor it? Are they going to have Claude, Manu, Higgsfield, Gemini, Copilot? Are they going to have these large language models to monitor and surveil it? Under the control of the executive branch, and they're calling it election integrity. And a lot of you would like to agree because you're still on level 1.
Go look up the history. Shit, don't everybody believe in Google?
I'm going to call it what it is, a federal voter surveillance apparatus disguised as postal reform. Before a system like this is activated, I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. If you guys ever wrote code, if you ever wrote program, you ever understood Linux and binary code, I want you guys to understand this. Anytime that you are creating a product of any kind, whether it be a physical product or a digital product, there's this whole project life cycle in different phases. And through those phases, there's milestones. Then you get to the most important part of the project. And that's phase alpha, when you do internal alpha testing of the product. So if you're making a database that you're going to put all this information in, and they're trying to get this activated before the midterms, by the way, like before a lot of these dates start coming up, they're trying to deploy this very, very quickly. They haven't even conducted any smoke tests. Smoke tests is out for internal testing. Then beta, you guys already hear the word beta. You want to download this beta program? That's the external test before they release it to the entire public. So alpha testing is when you have a product, whether it be digital or physical, and you give it people internal to the business, all right? And maybe some internal partners to the business. And then beta test is when you release it to the public, a small group of people for them to play with and test it. And they're going to be kind of monitoring that app to see if there's any malfunctions, any errors, any bugs, etc. They're not even trying to do that. Because something this large, something this complex, now they may have AI to help them out on this. But AI would tell you it's not perfect. It makes mistakes. If you ever use AI, it does make mistakes. So this is something that has to meticulously be done. And some of this may have to be manual. I don't know how you can do that this fast. You cut the government 300,000 jobs. How can you do this fast without there being a lot of issues? Now we're on level 3.
Oh man, it's getting dangerous over here.
See, level 1 is just reading what they show you. Level 2 is going another level deep to see the harm or the effects or the outcomes that something can do. But now on level 3, what is really at hand here? I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but I'm telling you that these programs, these systems, they usually take at least a year to build, right? If it's something like an emergency, they apply all these resources toward it, but that still is not a perfect system. Like, look at COVID-19. COVID-19, it was manual, right? They dictated to, CVS and Rite Aid and all these different pharmaceutical that you can go and get your COVID-19 shot. Remember that? So they had the freedom of all these different, medical facilities. But now we're just talking about the federal government. Hopefully you guys will follow me. And they're trying to disguise this as postal reform. I'm not saying don't create the system. I'm saying creating the system this fast and this close to the midterms has so much room for error. And I'm almost guaranteed that they're predicting that 20% of all people, right? This is lowballing the number, because don't forget it was 18% Black, it was 1/3 of the Hispanic vote, and it was 50% of the Asian vote. And I'm just going to throw in 30% for Caucasians. Okay. So when you combine all those numbers into a ratio, the only thing they're hoping for is that 20% of people won't be able to get past the system barriers because there is a mixed characterization, a misspelling of their name. They didn't change their name. So there's all these conflictions in the system. Their social security card or number, something is off. They're going to come up with all these different ways of why this many of people didn't have the opportunity to vote, even though they mailed in their balances. Oh, yeah. See, my thing is, I go a little deep in my thinking, guys. So what do? I think first, we verify that your voter registration today. You need to verify your voter registration today. And if you go to my site that I created, it's an information hub. You can donate. You don't have to donate. There's a tool for you guys, totally free. Go to ourvoicevote.org and make sure your name is exactly as it appears on your state ID. And you can look through my site, has a lot of links, a lot of information for you guys to get sped up on the Constitution. There's some fun facts here and there.
People are loving it.
But nevertheless, it would be a good site for you guys to go to, ourvoicevote.org. Because we need to think about this. Any mismatch is a flag in their system. Now, if your state offers early in-person voting, use it. Don't wait till the lines get long. Don't rely on a postal system that is being engineered to fail us. Number 3, the public comment period. The public comment period on this USPS rule is open. That means you have a legal right to submit your objections to the Federal Register, which a lot of people don't know. You can still petition. You can still submit applications for FOIAs. And this is another apparatus that you guys could actually use.
Oh, okay.
You have the legal right to submit your objections to the Federal Registry. 4, share this video. Let people know what the hell's going on, right? Whether it be white, black, Hispanic, Asian, and otherwise. Let them be informed about what the hell is going on in this country with this administration. Because the mainstream media is covering this like a process story. It's not a process story, it's a power story. And the power is being taken from us in real time. They used to suppress our vote with dogs and fire hoses. Then they used gerrymander and voter ID laws. Now they're using barcodes and databases. What I've noticed, and I've been saying this for quite some time, the smarter that human beings become, the smarter that Homo sapiens evolve to, discrimination, hatred, and racism just transform.
Yes, definitely.
That's all. Still exists. It just changes. It metamorphosizes, so to speak. That is changing the twos. See, the target doesn't. The target doesn't change. And if you think this is about election security, ask yourself one question. Ask yourself this question. Why does every single security measure they propose make it harder for Black people to vote, for brown people to vote, for Asian people to vote, and for some white people to vote? And it's easier for everyone else. That's not a coincidence. That's a confession.